Following the release of our interview with New World Oil and Gas, today we talk to private investors who will share their views on the latest CPR, their investment and their views on management.
My name's Dave Freeman. I've got 500,000 New World shares and I've been accumulating them for the last 2 or 3 months.
My name's Mitchell Nunn and I hold 600,000 shares in New World Oil and Gas, and I've been invested since September of 2011.
My name is Jason Smitherman. I own 200,000 shares and I'm only recently invested.
My name is Paul Johnson. I've been invested in New World Oil and Gas since May of this year.
I'm Colin Sled and I've been invested in New World Oil since June the 2nd of this year. I hold approximately 5 million shares and hold it in my SIP.
What I try to do in my investments is to identify opportunities that are very lowly valued but have a great deal of potential to re-rate, I think is the common phrase, as time goes by. New World were operating a business model that had very clear operational objectives, had a good management team and had all the ingredients necessary, including money, a little bit of money always helps, to drive the business forward in the future.
I initially invested in New World Oil and Gas for a number of reasons. One, they were trading at cash value, which I believe was about 4 million at the time after completing a placing at, I think it's for 3 million at 6p. They've got 2 fantastic assets, both in prolific hydrocarbon systems, fantastic management, proven track record. They've had success before, low amount of shares in issue.
Makes me think that there's real growth in that share price, because basically the CPR that's come out and the resource that they're sitting on versus the market cap, to be honest, it sort of answers itself really.
My friend also kindly emailed me a question and answer that he'd had with the CEO, Bill Kelleher, which I found very informative, very investor friendly, and it was pretty obvious to me the knowledge that the guy had. So after a little bit more research, a couple of conversations with my friend, that's when I decided to take the plunge.
Done my research and then bought 1 million shares. I decided to have a meeting with Bill and Peter to have a look in a bit more detail at the company. After that, I was very, very impressed with their enthusiasm, knowledge, and particularly the assets, and decided to increase my holding significantly.
Communication is 100% the most important thing that a management team have to do. You've got to remember that the private investors or the shareholders at large are the owners of the business, and you have to tell them what's going on. Now, the stock market has very sensible regulations as to the management of information, but it's essential that the company communicates on a regular basis, updates what's happening and lets people know about progress that's being made. I feel New World Oil and Gas do that very, very well. They're regular with their updates, they provide sufficient detailed information, and they're on schedule. But in addition to that, they're open for communication with shareholders who have further queries and need some extra help and information.
After various email correspondence with Bill, I had the opportunity to meet him in London. He gave me an hour of his time.
I like the way that they've under-promised, over-delivered, and they've known that. They've obviously known that, and they've played that very well. Haven't come out saying we're going to do this, we're going to do that, like I've had experience of in other companies.
The communication from the company to investors, to my knowledge, is second to none.
They do everything to update the shareholders at every stage in the process.
And I think if you start as you mean to go on, I think it can only be good for everybody involved. The CPR this week for New World Oil was absolutely fantastic. I don't think anybody expected the P50 of 294 million barrels.
Potentially 1 billion barrels recoverable across the 6 prospects, well, 5 prospects and 1 lead. Also, I was very encouraged by the fact that the probability of success has gone from 1 in 8 to 1 in 5.
The COS, very low, about as low as you can get in the industry.
Now, I say fantastic, but I think the market has a little bit of indigestion, because what it wasn't expecting is to have such a significant number of figures within there. When you've got an NPV 10 of $1.53 billion, you've got on P50 294 million recoverable barrels. That kind of data was not really expected from the company. It's fantastic as an investor. It makes me feel extremely confident about the investment. Obviously, things can change, things go wrong. This is the oil and gas business. But to have this kind of progress at this stage so quickly is super.
Well, when I saw the RNS and the CPR on Tuesday morning, to say I was shocked was an understatement.
And then if you look back and you consider how many sites were looked at before they bought Belize, it's a case of 1 in 60, they did their work properly, and it's now starting to pay off.
Okay, well, I'll apply the same principles to New World as I would do to any other investment. I start out and buy a share in the hope that certain things will happen and progress will be made. I'm seeing positive progress at every stage with New World, and for me that means I hold and carry on holding as this progress continues and develops. Now, the markets at the moment, it's December 2011, everyone's a little bit fraught, things are nervous, it's scary out there, and the share prices of good companies and bad companies are lowly valued, lower perhaps than they ought to be. Now, I believe that as the market recovers, as the strength returns and people's confidence gets back to where it was a little while ago, then we'll start to see proper valuations for some of these companies. And for a company that's come out with nothing but positive developmental news, that's a good thing. So I'm sat here, I'm going to hold and see how things develop.
I'm really pleased with my investment up to now, obviously, because I'm in front. I think that it will grow. I think that the track record of the CEO, especially at Victoria Oil and Gas, if you look at when he was there, what it was worth when he came in, what it was worth when he left, it was many multiples of any investment.
My thoughts are, I haven't got enough of them.
I intend to add to my holding.
Remember, this is only the Belize project. We've still got Denmark and potentially other projects in the pipeline. I can't wait for the future.
I think the management in this company are purely oil people. Been there, done it, got the T-shirt. A wealth of experience at every high level in other oil companies. They've got worldwide experience. I'd feel confident if they put some more projects in the pipeline wherever it was in the world, and I'm really happy to be in here.
These are one of the best. They've got a combined industry experience of about 80 years. They've had previous success before with Victoria Oil and Gas, taking that company from a 15 million market cap up to about the high of a 270 million.
It's all about the people. I mean, obviously we've got to get to the oil and the geology and the technicals and everything else, but if you've got the wrong people doing it, you ain't getting the oil.
I would say that the management team is absolutely everything. You can have the best projects in the world, but if you don't have a management team in place who can control and run the business in the right way, make sure the people are there to do the technical work, make sure the funding and finance is there to grease the wheels, as it were, make sure that the future operational objectives, the company strategy is right, and make sure that investors are engaged and proper communications are in place, you're in trouble. There are so many companies out there that don't have good, effective management. When you find one that does, you hold on to it. We have a good broad management team, we have corporate strength, we have legal strength, we have prior oil and gas experience, and we have a drive and a determination to succeed and to communicate that success as you're going along.
If you've got the wrong people doing it, you ain't getting the oil.
The PR and the communications towards private investors is the best.
I'm very excited about what they're unearthing in Belize, and that's without taking Jutland into consideration, and I'm sure there'll be other projects in the pipeline. I'm very encouraged that the dilution will be kept to a minimum.
I think they're doing a great job, and I'm intrigued to see what will happen in the coming weeks, months and years as the business develops.
The company's trying everything possible, in my view, to minimise the risk by way of their process and structure, to minimise the risks that are obviously inherent in oil exploration.